November 29th once arrived like a quiet bell across Franciscan houses, and the whole family paused. Welcome to Daily Saints with Grace. Fast, faithful stories told with clarity and heart. Friars, poor clerks, and lay tertiaries remembered the day a simple rule had been approved, and the Church later kept the date for a wider gratitude, the Feast of All Saints of the Seraphic Order. They did not list only famous names. They remembered the countless hidden ones who had carried the gospel with brown sleeves and open hands. It began when Francis had called himself small and insisted the road stayed narrow only until love widened it. He gathered brothers without coin or sword, and the Church approved their rule on November 29, 1223. From that paper door, people kept walking. Men and women, scholars and beggars, cooks, nurses, and kings who learned to bend. The sons and daughters of this family later wore many shades: OFM, Capuchin, conventual, poor Clare, secular Franciscan, but the thread held: Christ poor and crucified, joy without ownership. History remembered the bright lamps: Clare of Assisi behind the grill, Anthony of Padua preaching with the patience of a teacher, Bonaventure drawing a map for minds that loved God with reason. But the feast reached further. It gathered the unknown friar who patched sandals, the sister who cooled a fever, the shopkeeper in a brown scapular who settled a debt without a receipt. The day said, "We saw a pattern, and it looked like mercy in motion." They crossed ports and mountain passes with almost nothing and found that almost nothing was lighter than fear. They sang peace into streets that had argued itself hoarse. They blessed animals and fields because creation was not a backdrop. It was a neighbor. They preached in markets where sermons had to fit between prices and weather. Rumors suggested some of them read hearts by listening longer than anyone else. Reports claimed others built entire missions out of borrowed kitchens and borrowed courage. The records kept only pieces. The pattern stayed whole. Not every Franciscan story ended in applause. Some ended in prisons and plague wards, some in deserts where the water arrived a cup at a time. They kept the poor company with a stubborn cheerfulness. Pax et Bonum that felt like bread and roofs, not slogans. When the Church quarreled, they acted as brothers who stayed at the table. They forgave quickly, traveled lightly, and left towns with fewer grudges than before. The rule had not been an idea. It had been a road. It taught them to hold property loosely, to treat work as praise, to obey in ways that left no one humiliated. It turned confession lines into repair shops and choirs into schools for hope. On this feast, friaries read the names they could, then added the names they did not know: all saints of the Seraphic Order. Holiness was a chorus. The soloists changed. The key stayed the same. In our time, the family still moved. Reports claimed young Franciscans carried night street ministries where the prayer was warm soup and a blanket. Others planted trees or rebuilt parishes after storms. Whether the work made headlines or not, the flavor tasted familiar. Simplicity with laughter, truth spoken without a raised fist, joy that did not need to win an argument to win a heart. If someone had asked what held them together, they would have pointed to a rule approved long ago and a crucified they treated as a friend. By nightfall on November 29th, the feast had done its work. We remembered a family that kept choosing smallness and found it big enough for the world. If their witness steadied you, comment Pax et Bonum and name one Franciscan grace you wanted in your city. Like the video so others see it. Subscribe for daily saints told with clarity and heart, and share this with someone who needed permission to live simply and love largely. The Seraphic Order had already walked past. The footprints were clear enough to follow. All saints of the Seraphic Order, pray for us.